Hey, what's up everyone? Jason Turley here, back with another video. Today we'll be looking at this Reddit post titled, "Do you think certifications still matter to most employers?" And this is in regards to cybersecurity certifications, right? Which is a heavily debated topic in the industry, in this community. Are they still relevant? Are they worth it? They're very expensive. There's always new vendors coming out. Is this something that me, as a aspiring cybersecurity professional or someone who's already in the industry, should I even be worried about this? Does it even matter? Or do my other skills and credentials speak more volumes for myself instead? I'll be going over all that. I'll be reading this post and some of the comments, and then I'll interject some of my own feedback and thoughts as we go along. It should be fun. The post reads, "I think certifications matter to certain employers who don't have a lot of knowledge about the industry, but I feel like they're starting to matter less and even more so than before. Employers mostly just care if you've actually used the software." We see there's 57 comments. Let's dig through them. Snooker Poker says, "Don't kid yourself, they do matter. I'm not saying go out and get 15 certs, but target a few key ones in the area you want to work in." True, key ones are Net Plus, Sec Plus, and then just go after the ones you think that you need, whether that's on the blue side or the red side or cloud. Not sure Net Plus. If you're not familiar, Net Plus is short for Network Plus. So CompTIA is the organization, and they have A Plus for like general IT and computer hardware stuff. They have Network Plus for computer networking related things, and then they have Security Plus, which encompasses all that, plus like malware and the CIA triad and other cybersecurity buzzwords. So it's usually understood that if you have, it's like a tier, A plus, Net plus, Sec plus. If you have Sec plus, then you kind of already shown that you can pass Net plus and Sec and A plus. So it's debatable. I don't really think Net plus is necessary. Why not just go for Sec plus if you know you're going to be in cybersecurity? Fragrant Relative 714, Net Plus over CCNA. Absolutely not. CCNA, the Cisco Certified Network Analyst course, is better than Net Plus. Nah, depending on what you want to do. In security, CCNA might be overkill. There's no overkill on networking knowledge. Okay. Blue screen of win matters to HR, probably matters less to the team who's interviewing you. If you can demonstrate the necessary knowledge, then they probably don't care if you're certified or not. Maybe if you don't have a lot of years in the industry, then certs might be nice. / easier to pitch to your bosses. I agree. A lot of certifications are just HR filters. The people on your team, your coworkers, they're probably not going around like, "Oh, you don't have OSCP, then you're not a real hacker," kind of thing. So as long as you can demonstrate you know what you're doing at the end of the day, I think that's really what matters. This user points out, if you have OSCP, for example, you can basically write your own ticket. It is commonly understood OSCP is kind of a gatekeeper cert. If you have that, you're almost guaranteed an interview for a lot of junior penetration testing roles. It's up to you to back it up, but still, it gets your foot in the door a lot of the time. Villain says, "I hired a lot of people over the last 15 years, and I definitely look for candidates with particular certs. Beyond the certs, demonstrating a certain level of knowledge and experience, those with CPE requirements." CPE, that's like continuous education, something like that. In my experience, the guys with zero experience, but who have certs, would often push back on continued learning, even when it was paid for and able to be completed during work hours. That's crazy. The guys with previous certs and CPE requirements would jump at the training and the opportunity to implement what they learned with our team. They would help our team constantly evolve and improve, while the people that actively refuse to learn anything new would push back against change. It's purely anecdotal, but in my experience, anything that demonstrates a willingness to do continued learning is a big plus. Whether it be certs, a home lab, taking free courses, etc., it makes me think you'll be someone who wants to drive positive change rather than pushing back against it. I wholeheartedly agree with that. I don't think you necessarily need the certs as long as you're doing something to show your passion, something to give back to the cybersecurity community, as we call it. Whether that's the home lab, CTF challenges, a write-up, a blog post, a YouTube video, this cheesy channel that I'm putting here for you guys. certifications, college courses, anything like that, anything you're doing to kind of set yourself apart and just dive in and showcase your love and passion for this field, I think that is what employers are looking for. Fog matrix. It definitely helps get interviews. You still need to walk the walk though. Certs are a foundational item, not a badge of expertise. X-cert just means you can speak the language. That's about it. So you need to put your money where your mouth is, essentially. Scrolling down, it depends on the role. I got a security engineering interview through LinkedIn with my current employer, who's a recruiter searched for a particular certification. So, I believe this brings up a good point. You could look at it from your perspective as like the learner, as a student, or you could look at it from like the HR, hiring manager, recruiter perspective. From our perspective, we want the best bang for our buck. We want a cert that will get us a job, educate us, and won't break the bank if we're paying it for ourselves, assuming an employer is not paying for it, right? So that's what we look for. We look for knowledge, we look for cost, we look for like how long it takes to complete it, and then is it marketable? HR, they don't really know the difference between CEH and OSCP, for example. They just know they see these terms all the time and they're led to believe that these are the industry standard for like pen testing, red team type of things. So it's kind of resume candy, kind of like a gatekeeper kind of thing in some sense. I don't think you should ever get a cert just to appease HR, because what HR wants, what the hiring manager, what the recruiter wants, that changes. So I think it's better to always have that fundamental baseline knowledge. Oh, we see that here, front speed 7233. Certs matter. I've hired people without them and regretted the gaps in foundational knowledge they exhibited. I don't know what cert they got. Maybe it's something that's not very reputable, something that they didn't really test their skills. It obviously didn't, because there's gaps in foundational knowledge. He still hired them though, so I'm not really sure what was going on in that interview, in that hiring process, either the phone interview, the hands-on technical interview, or what have you. I'm surprised they did not see the gaps then. It wasn't until after they were hired. As a general rule, certs increase your chances of getting an interview. After that, it just depends. If I were involved in the hiring process for a junior analyst role, I would probably use qualifications as a metric for thinning the first wave of applicants. For a more senior role, I would likely focus on work history. What they've done in the last 5 to 10 years can be a better indicator of experience and expertise than the tickets they hold. Of course, specific roles and customers may have other discriminating requirements. Clearances, citizenships, etc. For example, the DoD, they require Sec Plus, basically. Having said all that, there are some occasions where not having a certain qual may hurt your chances. Going to a role where you perform audits without an auditing cert, for example, but it's not always a deal breaker. Employers may be willing to fund training. So that's key. I think this should come up during the interview. When they ask you, hey, do you have any questions for us? You can ask them about their training budget and how willing are they to invest back into you as an employer, right? Because you can do a lot with just on-the-job training. As long as you show that passion, I think, and you have like minimum baseline job requirements, I believe the company should invest in you and help boost you up a little bit. Employer may be willing to fund training to close that gap if they believe you have the right pre-existing skills or relevant work experience. As for maintaining certs, that's a whole other story. Smiley, winking face. Depends on the perspective of the employer, but probably most do care about certs. Some people may be good at passing exams. That's very true. I think especially with SANS courses, a lot of those exams, they're not too hard to pass once you know the trick. You have your index, you have your notes. It's multiple choice. It's not really hands-on like an OSCP or a Hack the Box certification. You can pass the exam, but not necessarily have enough practical experience in a particular field. Likewise, some people may not have any certs, but be good at what they do. As an employer, I wouldn't pay much attention to a cert, but only knowledge and experience, which can be proven during a trial period with or without certs. I agree. Good job, Scorpsec. Voodoo Python, certs are a good way to demonstrate skills. and capabilities, helps in keeping up with the current tools and tradecraft, and demonstrate your discipline for knowledge. Yes, they matter. Experience is better than certs, okay. Ben Chang, 22. I know about 10 script kiddies. A script kiddie is like an amateur hacker. They're not really sure what they're doing. They just find code online and copy and paste and run exploits willy-nilly without really configuring it or taking time to understand the second and third order effects of what happened once you launch an exploit, for example. They're just noobs. So I know 10 script kiddies who said they wouldn't hack a company if 60% of their SOC analysts were Sec Plus certified. All right, that's a weird metric. I'm not really sure how you even find that. Maybe on LinkedIn, and you just like analyze the data. But Sec Plus is like a very entry-level certification. But they are script kiddies, they are noobs, they're novices, so it makes sense that, that statement, that statement makes no sense, right? Because they're noobs. One APT told me, an APT is an advanced persistent threat. Think governments, nation states, things like that. A lot of money, a lot of power, governments. They're advanced, they're persistent, and they're threat actors, right? So one APT told him, so I don't know how or why this person has like dial-up access or is in chats with like an APT. That's not really making any sense to me. One APT told me that if even one analyst at a company holds a GX cert, then that company is a no-go because their certs are like $7,500. Yeah, that is true. GAC/SANS, to go through their courses, to go through their certification process, that's going to cost you $7,000 to $8,000. So, that's here in Texas for my one bed apartment. That's like 5 to 6 months rent. In New York, that's like 3 months rent. So, you want your employer to pay for that, A, and B. This statement also doesn't really make any sense. Like, if one person has a GAC cert, which aren't very hard to get by any stretch of the imagination, then that company is a no-go. If anything, wouldn't you want to target these people more because they have the resources and the money to pay for advanced training? Meaning they probably have a lot of assets to protect, critical key assets. Because if you're APT, a nation state, you want that key assets, those key targets. You're not really targeting mom and pop shops if you're like an APT, I would imagine. Don't sell yourself short. These hackers know their certs are legit. On another note, they aren't scared of pen testers who wear hoodies anymore either. I'm not really sure where this dude is getting his knowledge, and he put it in quotes, or he put it in italics like he referenced it or quoted it from somewhere. But I'm not sure. This comment doesn't really make any sense to me personally. Maybe you guys can offer some insight in the comments below. I don't really think hackers are taking the time to see what certs people have. If a hacker looks at what certs that employers have, they're probably trying to see what tool set maybe a company is using so they can find exploits and vulnerabilities. I don't think they're like, oh no, these guys have GAC, we can't hack them. That just doesn't make any sense to me. I think you're right, they still matter for clearings and filters, and they matter a bit more in certain industries, but overall their relevance, I believe, has started to fade. Alright, let's just read a few more, guys. I know the video is getting kind of long. Most important to be found on LinkedIn. I have 4 and think they are worthless. Also not impressed on a resume unless it's OSCP or something hard. So he has -3 votes, like down votes, whatever they're called, thumbs down. I do agree it is important to be present on LinkedIn, to be found on LinkedIn. You don't want to be a nobody where if a recruiter is searching for a pen tester role, for example, or like a SOC analyst role, that you never show up in their results. I don't think, if your certs were worthless, meaning you didn't learn anything from them, maybe you're going after the wrong certs. Maybe you could have challenged yourself more by going for something more keen to your skill set or your interest level. Here we go, POFO 7676. They're a great way to expand your knowledge in areas you might be lacking in. A lot of times I'm learning something new for work, like AWS, Amazon Web Services, like cloud stuff, and I'm managing IAM. I will read the study guides for certs, even if I don't actually plan on taking the exam. There's so much knowledge to be had just reading study guides. An hour a night helped me grow significantly. Wow, I've never really done that. I don't think I've kind of just taken the time to look at the syllabus or the curriculum of a cert and then study guides, as opposed to actually just going for the cert. I like that. That's like a true hacker mindset, outside the box thinking. I like his rationale. D Salty Nut 69. Of course. Beautiful. It depends. What country do you live and work in? What industry do you work in? Are you working for the government, academia, or commercial? Who is doing the first line resume scanning? If it's an automated applicant tracking system, then yes, they do matter, right? They look for keywords. If it's HR, they don't know anything about what they're talking about, but it can matter. If it's a closed-minded hiring manager that goes by back in my day, like an old crusty guy, then they can matter. So basically, it looks like he's saying certs that can matter. It depends who's looking at your resume. At the end of the day, don't chase the resume candy. Don't chase the title of the cert. Chase the knowledge, right? That's something that Neil Bridges from Cybersecurity channel says all the time. Go after knowledge, right? And you'll be showered in rewards later on. All right, just to wrap up this video, I have a few notes written down here that I'd like to go over, some thoughts. So my personal opinion, yes, I do think certs matter. Again, don't go after the cert necessarily, go after the knowledge. So to use myself as an example, I'm going after Hack the Box CPTS, the Certified Penetration Testing Specialist exam, cert, career path, whatever, as opposed to the OSCP. Because I paid for it out of pocket, and the price difference made a lot of sense. I have a video on that. I'll leave a link. It's very good content. It's very wordy and verbose. However, there's lots of hands-on portions and labs, and I can feel myself improving. So I think going after that, as opposed to like a multiple choice exam that's not really hands-on, is going to bode very well for me. Any good cert worth its salt, any course worth its salt, should prepare you for the security industry, right? You shouldn't get a cert and then be worse off, right? That's very counterintuitive. That doesn't make any sense. So if you get OSCP and you have a harder time finding jobs, that's bizarre. There might be something else going on there. Some other points I have: the pros of a cert, structured learning, as we saw earlier. One of these Redditors commented that it's a structured learning path. It's a syllabus. It's good resume candy. You're learning new things, right? That's the beauty of hacking and security. There's always something new to learn, or go back and master the fundamentals. And kind of debatable, but a cert can replace a degree in some instances. Sometimes a cert, if you have enough certs plus TryHackMe plus CTF organization plus home lab, you might be able to get like an entry junior level analyst or penetration testing role just through your passion and having like that brand name cert. Some cons, I think they're very expensive. Usually cybersecurity IT professionals get paid decent. They get paid pretty well. So even if you do have to pay out of pocket, okay, you're investing in yourself. I think always try to get an employer to pay if they can, if they're willing. They're always a grind, man. Certs are a grind. They're very long. You're doing it after the workday, usually in your free time, when you should be outside like a normal human, doing regular things, but you're studying for a cert. Also, it's never really ending. There's always going to be new certs coming out. There's always going to be new updates of what recruiters are looking for. So it never really ends. I enjoy learning, but can I realistically see myself studying for certs for the next 20 years? Not really. I think at some point I want to get to like a baseline where I have enough certs, I have enough resume candy, I have enough LinkedIn points or whatever. That speaks for itself. I'd rather invest more time in the YouTube channel and giving back to you guys than I would getting another cert. I'm still going to get a few, But long-term family, stuff like that, I don't think I'd want to get certs all the time. That seems pretty draining and daunting, to be honest. So that's it. That's all I had for this video. I'll leave a link to this Reddit post in the channel description. I would love to know what you guys think. Are certs worth it? Are they overhyped? Should they be a thing of the past, and should we replace them with something else in this industry? Comment below. Let me know. Also, while you're down there, comment and leave a subscription, right? Also, remember to drop a like and subscribe. It just helps me out with the YouTube algorithms. Links to all my social media, as well as certain study notes and tools and resources I have, are in the video description down below. As always, guys, take it easy and see you in the next video.